Good day, YouTubers. Welcome back to my channel. Time for a spot of royal tea. This interview with the BBC, this lengthy interview, Andrew and this BBC lady, is regarded by everyone as an absolute disaster. So, a car crash. So what I want to look at today is, will Prince Andrew now be forced to retire from public life? Is he going to be indicted? What are the ramifications of this? Because it looks really bad. Let's read from the Globe and Mail. Mr. Borkowski said, "It appeared the prince ignored the advice of his staff and bowled ahead with the interview." Okay, and I understand that this was on the advice of Fergie. Fergie wanted him to do this interview. Quote, "It doesn't take anybody with a public relations degree to recognize that it was very poor judgment," he said. "The world is talking about it. Unfortunately, the world is talking for all the wrong reasons." So by doing this interview, he got the whole world talking. That's the last thing you want. Prince Andrew's judgment has long been called into question. Now it's also the Queen who's exposed after the BBC interview. Will Prince Charles have the courage to do what he should do and tell Prince Andrew to retire from public life on the basis of his judgment has been called into question one too many times? Charlie Proctor, editor of the news website Royal Central, put it more bluntly. "I expected a train wreck. That was a plane crashing into an oil tanker, causing a tsunami, triggering a nuclear explosion." I agree, and I think the public agrees, and I've been looking on Twitter, and it's nothing but negative. Got the straight razor falling out. Will Andrew retire from royal life? Will Andrew be forced to retire from royal life? Because he's only 60. 60 is young at this point, and he looks young and vigorous. He doesn't look old. Charles is looking a little worn, a little bit older, not very well. The Queen is still riding horseback, 93 years old. Philip is the only one who's retired. Will Andrew retire from royal life? Incubus, succubus, crossroad. Ooh, broken chalice. And the New York Post took a poll, and only 6% of the public believe Andrew's account. Okay, the not sweating, that he was at the pizza joint. Okay, on the night that Virginia Roberts was in London and she says that he had sex with her. Okay, incubus, succubus, crossroads, three black birds. People talking in actions, decisions, and talking about this terrible, terrible situation. A lot of conflict on top. The Mother Earth, this situation. So this is just very bad. Will he retire? Broken chalice and sun. As these things are exposed, three, ace of clubs. It looks like he may be removed. He's too much of a liability. So this spread leans toward, and we have the straight razor falling out. So broken chalice and straight razor definitely leans toward he will retire. Okay, now we have police officers. I believe this is a guy from Scotland Yard. He watched the interview and he says, well, now Andrew needs to be charged with crimes. Okay, so will Andrew now be charged or indicted with any crimes? Okay, and obviously there's the open question of Ghislaine Maxwell. why hasn't she been charged? Why isn't she under arrest? Why isn't she indicted? Why isn't there a grand jury arraigned to indict Ghislaine Maxwell? But anyway, will Andrew be charged? Will he be indicted for any crimes now? Will he be charged or indicted? Mustard seed. Okay, will Andrew be indicted because he was so foolish? And apparently Fergie's the one pushing this, and she's pushing him to do another interview to make up for this catastrophe that just happened. That's a great idea. Double down on this foolishness. Will Andrew be indicted? Mustard seed. Mustard seed can be the literal paper, the indictment. Inheritance, very solid. It's already done. Tens are completion. We have 2 tens. City, all the people, 18, 19. 5 clubs, decisions. I think the royal family here is still protecting him. This is power and abuse of power. 10 hearts, very emotional. 7 spades, secrets, and coffin, 11, 21. 6 hearts, karmic relationship. I think that they can keep these very incendiary. I think they need more evidence to indict him. I think he will not be indicted at this point, and they're able to keep these things secret and keep them in the box. But there's 3,000 pages that are set to be released. Now Prince Andrew and all the royals, they have security that goes with them everywhere. Okay, and these royal security officers, they have to keep logs. And these logs are kept by Scotland Yard for 30 years. Will Andrew's security logs be released? Will Andrew's security logs be released? He was at Epstein's, he was in the New York place, he was on the island. They will put him at a very specific time and place at specific locations, and that's the key. Like if a murder is committed, they always want to know, where were you on Tuesday at midnight, and you need an alibi. Oh, well, I was at McDonald's on camera buying a Big Mac. Well, that's an airtight alibi because you weren't murdering this person at midnight on Tuesday. So those security logs are a big deal. So will they be released? Will the security logs be released by Scotland Yard? Because again, this is just power. I think the Queen can stop this. And the same way the Queen is able to stop it is the same way that the Clintons are able to stay out of jail. They're just too powerful. They call in favors. Okay, will they be released? Heart, karmic relationship, water into wine, transformation, 14, 15, 4 clubs. They're going to be able to transform this through the relationships. Red is very positive. It's very, very, positive and uplifting. That doesn't look like it. The hidden situation, King of Spades, High Tower, Hamster Wheel. They'll just delay, 23, 32, 8 spades, out of luck. They'll have lawyers and judges file legal motions, and they'll drag it out and drag it out and drag it out, and you're just going to be out of luck. No, they're going to be able to keep these security logs. They'll say it's a matter of national security or something. They're going to be able to keep these security logs, where Andrew was and when. They're going to be able to keep that hidden. So if they can just keep all the information hidden, and that's what this is looking like. Okay, there's another 3,000 pages that need to come out. They may be able to quash that 3,000 pages. And, a lot of people are filing things to make sure that the next 3,000 pages don't come out. This all blew up because I think 3,000 pages were already released, and now there's another 3,000 pages. Okay, and Virginia Roberts, just like Andrew interviewed with the BBC, did this 48-minute interview. Virginia Roberts did a 48-minute interview before Andrew, and it's not been released. They're putting Andrew's out, and it's still not released. Did the Queen approve this interview, this disaster? Or did Andrew, after he filmed it, and it was filmed at, this is Buckingham Palace, it was filmed at Buckingham Palace, okay, which says, without saying, that the Queen absolutely approves of this. Okay, so that's the impression he's giving, that the Queen and the Crown are behind him. Okay, so did the Queen approve of this interview beforehand, or did Andrew just, walk blithely by sipping some coffee or tea, since they're English, some tea, and say, oh, by the way, I did an interview? So did she approve? Roses? Because he's also her favorite son, which is strange in and of itself. There should be some merit. If your son is doing all kinds of crazy things, all kinds of weird, crazy things that are just shameful, maybe that should change. Maybe you should take steps to curb his behavior, or change your mind about him if he won't curb his behavior. 12 and 3, 15, 4 clubs. Okay, did she approve? Olive tree, deeply rooted, many hands involved, and sweet, and opportunistically, and everything. Everything was clicking along together. The Queen did approve. Wow. Which makes me think that the Queen is losing her mind. Okay, I often see the Queen as just incredibly sharp, very, very, very sharp, and just an amazing poker player, playing her hand very carefully. I do see her doing that with Meghan and Harry. I see her very, very carefully playing out her hand. Here, it's like that senator, just brain fart. I mean, what a mess. They did approve. She did approve. There were a lot of people involved. She knew about it. Will Andrew very foolishly do another interview and sink his battleship? Completely sink his ship by doing another interview, very, very foolishly. Will he do another interview with the BBC, and double down on this ridiculous foolishness that has gotten him in so much hot water? If he just kept his mouth shut, he would have been fine. Because, never complain, never explain. Will Andrew do another interview? Cornerstone, solid cornerstone player, handcuffs, committed to the situation, and a one-off. 11 and 6, 17, 5 hearts, reacting to circumstances. He does want to do another interview. Somebody needs to tie him up and chain it, put him in a room and tie him up. He very much wants to do another interview. He's very committed to this. He really wants to do it. I'm not sure that this is saying he will do it, because it's such a terrible decision. Somebody should stop him. But he really wants to do it. He really, really wants to do another interview, which is absolutely the wrong move, in my opinion. Absolutely the wrong move, because it's a disaster. All right. So will Andrew retire from the Royals? This is really bad. This is this is a car crash. This is a train wreck. This is a nuclear bomb. Okay, it's really bad. And 4, this adds ace of spades. 2 spades, ace of spades, ace of spades. If more information comes out, ace of diamonds, sun, if more information implicating him is revealed, he's going to be retired. Okay, that's what this says. This is really bad, and if anything else comes out, any more really bad stuff, he's going to be forced to retire. Okay? It's right on the edge. He's teeter-tottering on the edge of, being retired because he's an embarrassment now. Is Andrew going to be indicted? Well, it's very solid, and this is royal family. I think they're going to be able to keep more information hidden. There's another 3,000 pages needs to come out. I think they're going to be able to keep this hidden. 7 spades and 4 spades. So I'm going to say, no, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to indict him yet. They almost have enough, but they don't quite have enough. And he's so powerful and so well connected that it'll be stopped. Will the security logs be released? Where he was, when he was there, who he was with, family, transforming, and good intentions, lawyers filing briefs, and delay. I don't think they're going to be able to get these logs. They're going to be able to delay. We have other things like this in the government. We had work papers. You couldn't pry those from anybody's cold, dead fingers. And no matter what was in those work papers, and I was an auditor, you could not get those work papers out. Those work papers were protected. Okay, and police work papers are even more protected. You just can't get them. But I don't understand that side as much as I understand the civil side. There are things that you just can't get. And those, I guarantee you, those logs are very, very well protected by law. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to delay, and say, sorry, you can't get these. No, we never released them because of, and they're going to cite national security or something. Okay, did the Queen approve of Andrew doing this horrible BBC? Because he felt under pressure because Virginia Roberts did the same interview and he knew about it. Plus, maybe Fergie was pushing him to do it. But a lot of people were involved. Okay, and they told him it would be a good thing. But he didn't have any clear, decisive evidence to present that would exonerate him. Okay, and the arguments that he used, not sweating, he was at the pizza place with his daughters, were just so flimsy and like debunked so quickly and easily. And he always wears a suit when he goes out, and there's all these photos immediately came out of him sweating and not wearing a suit. So that's why it was a disaster. It was so flimsy what he was offering. So did the Queen approve? There were a whole bunch of people involved, and just a whole bunch of people. So the Queen knew about it. This did not come as a shock to her, which is very disturbing that they would let something, such a big deal, go forward and make such a bad decision. Will Andrew do another interview? He really wants to. He really wants to. He's got the knife to his throat and he's ready to cut his own throat. So he really wants to. That's how I see it. That's your royalty today. I'm Joseph Magi, author of Playing Card Divination, Fortune Telling, The Magi Method. Find the book worldwide on Amazon and Kindle and paperback versions. Find the full color card deck used here on Etsy/Magi Method. Please feel free to like, share, subscribe, and comment.